and welcome to Little Workroom Crafts. My name is Davina and this is the beginning, so this is number one of a series of patchwork and quilting tutorials, right from the beginning right up to making a small piece basically. So this one is going to be all on cutting, because there is a big importance on cutting your fabrics and so on. Now, for people that don't know, we do like to use 100% cotton. There is some, you know, that will go out and buy the poly cottons and stuff like that, but normally we do like our 100% cottons, and we do go for the craft cottons. It's nice to learn all the techniques, I think, as if you're gonna go into a craft, then go into a craft. Now there is, as most of you will know, I do actually work in a haberdashery, in the patchwork and quilting section, and I will say that when it comes to rotary cutters, now I'm left-handed, but you will find that when you go out and buy a rotary cutter, if you buy one, and I wish I had one but I don't, which has got a handle that comes up like this, the blade will automatically be on the right hand side. So all you do is unscrew the nut, and then there's a washer, take off the blade, swing it round, put it through to make it into a left-handed one. The amount of people, unfortunately, that will come back and go, this is not left-handed, and then on the counter I will actually unscrew and do, and so on. So I went out, I always use Alpha. Alpha is, I'm not going to be sponsored by any of these products that I am going to be naming to you. And I will also say, this is, I've been quilting now for nearly 30 years. And this is how I do my quilting. There is some that do it completely different, but this is just how I do it. So the Alpha. The blades on an Alpha is absolutely amazing. And as I say, you can, you know, the blades come off and replace them. What I do, though, is I have a cheaper rotary cutter. This is for my waddings. This is for my cotton, my craft cotton for quilting. Because obviously wadding has got a fibre. So the fibre's more of an outgoing fibre. So the fibre in that actually do blunt your blade quicker. So what I do is, once these ones are getting blunt, I will transfer them over to my wadding cutter and get more, because you don't have to be as precise with your wadding, and then put more pressure on it to get it to get the cut. But you know, I just get more use. That is the way I am with all my crafting. I like to get more use. So whatever I have, because at the moment with this one I do need a new one because I've got a nick in it. I don't know how I've got the nick, but I've got a nick in it. So when I do replace it, what I'll do is I'll put this one into this one, and then this is always going to be my wadding one. So it just saves basically. And also we have a cutting mat. So okay, so this is a self-healing mat. This is the medium size. You can also get a smaller one, which you use for you know, to take out to clubs and stuff, or you can get a bigger one, which I have got the big one as well, which is 2 of these put together, I think. But unfortunately I don't actually have the room for the big one on here. You'll also see as well, you will notice that all the quilting and patchwork, sorry, I will rephrase that, all the patchwork is done in inches, because at the moment we are doing patchwork. I will say patchwork and quilting are 2 different techniques. So the patchwork is putting everything together. Quilting is actually sewing through all 3 layers. As the weeks go on, I will be explaining, because there is a load of terminology yet again, like there is in crafts. We have a lot of different ways of speaking. And so yeah, so just so you know what is called what. Also, there is quilting rulers. Now this is one of my quilting rulers. I do have quite a few, I will say. But as I say, you know, I used to teach patchwork and quilting before my health went, so I needed the equipment basically. Now I love creative grids. Creative grids are amazing. They've got all the grids already on the back for you, and you've got your 1/2 inch added. So this basically is a 4.5 by a 12.5, but the most common one, let me see if I can find it. It's not that one. is this one. Let's step back a bit for you, which is the 6.5 by 24.5. Because when you actually lay a craft cotton, because a craft cotton is 44 inches wide, so when you lay it in half, line up your fold, put that on, that will go the whole length of the fabric. So you cut it like that. So this one is the most popular one. Fair enough, as you can see, I've said you have great creative grids, I have creative grids, but you can get them in all different companies. But this is just the company that I like. And I've got my selection of squares, I've got triangles and so on, but we'll get onto that in a later, way later. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tilt you down. We're basically going to start right from scratch, cut some squares and how the squares are cut and so on, because as I said, everything is done in inches. The seam is 1/4 inch. You cut with an add-on your 1/4 inch seam. So, you know, we will start right from the beginning here. So let's get started. Right, okay, I really hope that you can see what I'm doing here. Right, I have got, this is a piece of craft cotton. I do not pre-wash. Some quilters do. I personally don't, and I'll explain at the on the end what I do to you know, prevent that. Like running or anything if it does happen these days. I like to work on fresh fabric. Okay, so also when you're doing your pressing, you press with a dry iron, basically because you haven't pre-washed. So if you put steam on this, this is all going to distort and so on. So you always work with a dry iron. Okay, then let's get to the cutting. Let's pack the wadding one away for the moment. Okay, so what we need to do basically is we're going to have to square up an end. Yep, I've got this plain fabric, so I'm hoping you'll be able to see. So I am going to line up, use the lines on your board, use that line there, this line here, and then all these squares will fit in. Move it over just a touch, but pressure here, unlock your rotary cutter. Always start from beyond the fabric, so start about here and butt up against the ruler, pressure and then cut, and then there you have a straight line. Always lock your rotary cutter. I always say this because if you leave it open, go and answer the door, go and answer the phone, pick it up like that. There is a lot of people that do actually go to hospital and so on with cuts via the rotary cutter. So now you know you have a straight edge. Now what we're going to do for absolute beginners is just cut squares, because I think that would be easier. So you choose exactly what kind of numbers you would like your square to be. Whatever it is, say if you want a 6 inch finish, you will cut a 6.5 inch square to allow for the 1/4 inch seam allowance. So what's that from there to there? 7.5. I don't want to go quite that large, so we'll go with the 4.5, because that's, I know that's 4.5. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to butt that up along there. I know this edge isn't straight yet, so I will go 5 here so I can square it up to the 4.5. Always cut away from yourself. Say for instance, if you get here and you haven't cut, don't go like this. I've got the big guard on, okay? Don't go like this, because you will not get an edge. It has to be precise, because if one square is out, the quilt is going to be out. Yet again, start back. You can hear that cutting, okay? Put that like that. We will go across there. See, I'm lining up, and I'll explain in a moment what I'm... So I'm now going round my table, because you should never cut in front of your arm, kind of thing. That's dangerous. Pressure and off. Right. See, I've locked my blade. You get into the habit of it. So then line that up on your lines, like so. So 4.5, put it down, cut there. I know now that is a 4.5 inch square. Now I'm going to show you, if you don't have a ruler, that if it's wider than a 4.5 inches. So This one here is 6.5 by 18.5, or we will go for, let's get this one. This one here is my 6.5 inch square. Okay, so what we're going to do now is get my fabric back. So there's the squares. Get it back here. Okay. As I say, I know this line here is going to be straight. Let's pop that there. And we're going 4.5. Now, as I said before, yeah, you can see that on there, just, I think. This is where your 1/2 inch is added on. So what I always say is these are your holes, because it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 inches. These are your halves. Okay, so it's 1.5. Where is we? There you go. 1.5, 2.5, 3.5, 4.5, 5.5. Okay, because I'm doing a 4.5 inch, I would line the 4.5 inch line there. This I know is going to be over. So put pressure on there. Go across, move around my table, go across. Always cut, remember to cut away. I know this line is my line that I haven't cut. 4.5, 4.5. And there is another 4.5 inch square. Now say for instance, obviously you didn't want to do 4.5. We know this is going to be 7.5. You wanted to do a 5.5 inch. So my 5.5, let me get this in my, there we go. So, because now we know it's going to be over this. That's better. Yeah, 5.5. Okay. So I'm putting up against the line the edge that I cut straight. And then I will actually go right up till the end of the fabric, because there's not a lot here of waste. Say if it was a bigger piece of fabric, I would have moved around and gone across. So move that like that. That's my 5.5. I want to go a little bit over because I know this edge here isn't straight, but I know I'm 5.5 inches there, right, and here. So now what I'm going to do is go across, and then I will move my fabric, because you never cut down, never ever cut down, it's just too dangerous. Lay that on, pop it on like that, go across, move around the counter. If you can't move around the counter, then pick up your fabric and move it. Go across, there we go. A little bit of a nick there, but that doesn't matter. There we go. And now you see I've got 2 4.5 inch squares and 1 5 inch square. Really interested in doing this, then practice cutting. Always cut away from yourself. Never go like that if it doesn't cut first time. Come back and just do one straight line. And as you see, you can get a good square cut, because as I've said previously, one out means the whole quilt or the whole cushion or whatever is going to be out. Right then, so what I would like you to do is practice with the cutting, okay? And then next time, I'm hoping to do this on a weekly basis, and next time we will start doing the sewing, okay? When I do piecing, because what it's called is piecing, when I do it on the machine, it's when I do this stage, I will do it on the machine and put them together. Now, as you know, I've mentioned before, I do like my Metla thread, okay? Now, as I've said, we like cotton fabric, so we go on to cotton threads, okay? So so next time I'm going to show you all how to put the product together. Grey blends, okay? So all you need when it comes to machine piecing is a light, medium and dark grey. This is the medium. This is colour, I can never remember this one, 0322, or the Gutermann 6206. Okay, either of these companies are a good mid grey that will blend with anything. Also on the machine you will need a needle number 80/12, okay, because that is what you use for your piecing. You'll need a 1/4 inch foot, or I will explain next week what you can do if you haven't got a 1/4 inch foot, because you know I don't believe in people laying out money on stuff that they really don't know if they're going to like or not. So anyway, this is what we're going to use next week. So we're going to have a mid-grey thread, an 80/12 needle, and a 1/4 inch foot if you've got one, or a machine that will move the needle over to a 1/4 inch. And then I will start showing you how we're going to put the squares together. Now I reckon we could make a I don't know, if you pick a nice size square, we could make a table runner or a cushion. There's no point in actually saying, right, I want to be a quilt, or I'm going to make a quilt, because it's big, it will put you off. Always start smaller and work your way up to a quilt. That is my major advice. So to recap, basically you'll need your rotary cutter, or if you haven't got a rotary cutter, you can do it a way where you've got a pencil and a ruler and draw the line and cut, but you've got to make sure you get that cut accurate. But you know, as I say, that's how they used to do it, so it obviously works, you know, because the quilts from years ago are amazing. And I have got a story. I'm going to tell that, I think, on my next week's podcast. So cut some squares, different pattern fabrics, and get them all ready. Practice your cutting, you know, practice. It really is with cutting. And say next week I will do the piecing, the actual putting together. Okay then, so I hope I haven't rambled on a bit too many for you, but definitely practice that cutting. Okay then, I will see you soon. Take care, happy crafting, bye.